your tendency to cozy up to certain experiences causes you so much suffering, and it secretly ruins your entire life. So when I say cozy up to a certain experience, what I mean is to crave for, to want, to think that a certain experience, a certain thing is going to save you. It's going to make you feel better. So examples like craving for or taking refuge in certain food, certain music, sex, certain people, cozying up to certain people, wanting to spend more time around them, thinking that if you can be associated with them, then that'll improve your life and that'll save you. It'll make you happy. Certain weather, certain places like the beach or the shopping mall, certain things like having a fast car or a nice watch or nice clothes, certain games that you play, cozying up to the experience of winning. It's so thrilling the first time you win a game that you just keep going back and back because you want to get that experience again and again. You get addicted to it. Certain drugs, the high that you get from smoking weed or snorting a line. Certain shows that you like to watch. Certain books, certain activities like swimming or skiing. Cozying up to the feeling of getting validation or approval. That feeling when you post something on social media and it gets 100 likes. Now you want to do it again because you like that experience of other people loving you and showering you with validation. Getting paid a lot of money, fantasizing about the possibility of winning the lottery and getting paid $1 million. So if you really pay close attention to your life, you'll notice that you do a lot of this cozying up to certain experiences, fantasizing and thinking that certain experiences will save you and will alleviate your suffering and your state of dissatisfaction. I notice that I actually do this a lot in my life. As someone who practices meditation, I've been getting a lot better with dealing with the sensation of pain. So I always thought I was a pretty tough person. I was able to, when I was in the Army Cadets, for example, I would carry this 50-pound rucksack for 6-hour hikes through the forest, and there'd be blisters on my feet. So I was always pretty good with pain. I was on the wrestling team, the rugby team. So I was good at resisting pain or being okay with the sensation of pain. But recently I've been noticing more and more that my personal weakness was an inability to resist pleasure. Thinking that a specific pleasurable experience, like being handed $1 million, for example, this subconsciously, I believe deeply in my heart that if only that would happen, then fundamentally my state of being would change and my life would be fixed forever. So I want you to really pay attention to what kind of things do you take refuge in. So what is this concept of taking refuge? So if your life is not going well and you're not feeling satisfied, maybe you had a rough day, you had arguments, or you're just not feeling good for whatever reason, what do you go to in order to feel better? What do you take refuge in? So in Buddhism, the concept of taking refuge is very popular. But imagine like your life is like a storm and it's a giant hurricane and you need somewhere to go take refuge. You could take refuge in a cave to get out of the storm. You could take refuge underneath a giant tree. Hopefully you don't get struck by lightning. So in your life, think about, what do I take refuge in? For me, for a long time, it was sex and porn. It was video games. It was smoking weed. Eating a lot of food. Watching videos on YouTube. So ask yourself, what do I take refuge in? And I want you to actually really genuinely ask yourself if it really, truly, honestly makes you feel good forever. That thing that you think is going to save you and make you feel better, does it really work? Or is it just like a temporary cover-up? Just a temporary distraction that helps you to avoid the reality of discomfort? When you go to get that cheesecake from your fridge when you had a bad day, you go to get that ice cream from your freezer, or those cookies. You eat them and oh my God, it feels so good. You really cozy up to the experience. You're like, you take your cookies out, you put them on the table, and you're all excited. You feel your heart pumping. You're ready. You get your nice glass of milk. You set your tablecloth. You make sure there's no one around to see you. You make everything perfect, because what's about to happen is about to save your life. There's this feeling like it's going to save your life. And then you take the cookies out nice and slow. You put them on, and then you just take a nice bite. Damn, I really needed that. It's this addictive behavior. And then you eat another one. Wow, this feels so good. Wow, now I feel better. Damn. And then you have some more, and then eventually the cookies are gone. The glass of milk is finished. There's crumbs in it. I don't really like when there's crumbs in it. Oh, these cookies are a little bit stale. My stomach's starting to hurt. I kind of don't feel good again. Wow, that didn't really work the way I thought it was. Now I need something else to take refuge in. Oh, I'm gonna go watch some TV. Or I'm gonna go outside and smoke some weed. Or I'm gonna play a video game. I'm gonna call my friend on the phone. I'm gonna scroll on Instagram. I'm gonna light a scented candle. See? There's this quality in your life. If you have the tendency to cozy up to certain experiences and to lust after certain experiences, like I've done a lot in my life and still do, and I'm gaining more awareness of it, it always leads to suffering all the time. Because all experiences are always temporary. So any temporary experience that you genuinely think will actually save your life, ask yourself, this is a good question to journal about. What thing, if it actually happened to me, do I think would save my life forever? And everything would be fixed and all my problems would be gone. And then I could just bask in eternal happiness. This is something you want to contemplate. And I noticed within myself that recently I was reading a book from my favorite Buddhist teacher, Chogyam Trungpa. The book is called The Path of the Sacred Warrior. And he was talking about the practice of meditation, how it's kind of like riding a horse. And it's important for you to be able to stay centered in the center of the saddle as you're sitting on it. You need to maintain your center of gravity. You're not sitting there rigid like a plank of wood, because then you'll fall off the horse. You need to kind of like ride with the horse. You got to kind of go with the flow of the moment, but at the same time you need to maintain your center of gravity, and you can't be pulled in this direction or pulled in that direction. You need to stay centered. So this is the solution to this tendency to always need things to take refuge in to alleviate your suffering, because you need to realize that things, temporary experiences, whatever it is, will never alleviate your suffering permanently, only temporarily, and they'll always leave suffering in their wake if you indulge in them in a sort of clinging sort of way, where you put it on a pedestal and you're addicted to it. You're turning it into this whole massive ordeal, like that person having their cookies, or going to that concert, or going on vacation. When you take a 10-day vacation to the beach thinking that this vacation is going to save my life. If you pay really close attention, even when you're on vacation, yeah, sure, you might feel good, but eventually it ends, because there's this anxiety in the back of your mind knowing that the experience is going to end. So you try to hold on to it by setting it all up so that it's extra perfect. Like that person eating the cookies. But then eventually you can't hold on to a temporary experience. It'll always end. All experiences will always end. So how do you feel good when you're having a bad day, or when life is not going your way? I know life can be extremely hard and difficult sometimes. I understand that. So what is the only source of refuge that will actually work and will actually satisfy your suffering and will actually make you feel good? The answer is not a specific religion. It's not a specific philosophy. The only source of refuge that permanently satisfies you is your own awareness. Your own awareness that is centered in the saddle, that is not clinging and lusting after specific experiences and cozying up to them, or running away from certain uncomfortable experiences, like the sensation of ants crawling all over my feet as I'm recording this video, or the sensation of pain in your knees or in your back, or maybe your family is arguing in the background, running away from that. So when you do meditation and you sit maybe for an extended period of time, the goal, you should be doing this at least once per day, is to stay centered on your saddle and to not be pulled away by cravings and this idea that certain things will save my life, and then also not be afraid of uncomfortable sensations, but to stay centered. One of my teachers, Chogyam Trungpa, as I was reading the book, he mentioned that as you're staying centered on your saddle, you need to be so centered that even if someone were to come up to you and tell you, "I'm going to kill you right now," you're not fazed. Or if someone comes up to you and says, "Here's $1 million," you're also not fazed. Now, when I was reading these two examples, both of them shocked me. I was like, how would I react if someone came up to me and said they were gonna kill me? Or if someone even worse came up to me and said they were gonna hand me $1 million? how would I react? I would definitely get pulled away from my saddle. And this tendency to get pulled away from your saddle, your centeredness, sitting on your meditation cushion, staying neutral, being equanimous, equal mind. All experiences are just experienced and then they're let go of instantly. This is what works. So I wanted to give you a practice you can do. It's called touch and go. So as you're sitting in your meditation, let's say you hear a sound, you just kind of touch it with your mind. So you just kind of notice it, and at the same time you let it go. Or if you feel the sensation of boredom, you touch it, you acknowledge it, and you let it go. By let it go, it doesn't mean that you like run away from it or like try to shove it away. It just means you let it go, meaning you let it be. You kind of allow it to dissolve or allow it to change or allow it to exist and let it do its own thing. You touch and you go and you surrender involvement. So that's the whole practice, touch and go. You can do this for 30 minutes. You can use your breath as an anchor if you want. And then when you notice yourself flying away into thought land, you can just label thinking. And then you can come back to the sensation of breathing and just stay centered in this pure awareness. In Buddhism, they say that your mind, just the natural state of your mind, is the Buddha. Your mind that is not conditioned by clinging and aversion is already enlightened. Just the base of your mind, the nature of your own mind is already fulfilled and satisfied. So when we practice taking refuge in the Buddha, which is not some guy. He was some guy, allegedly, but what the Buddha means is taking refuge in your own mind, your own primordial sense of awakening, the original unconditioned mind, which is right here, always here. That's what's so great about it, is that the original mind, your mind, doesn't arise and pass away like the rest of the experiences, like the cookies. They arise and pass away, so that's why they're not a permanent source of refuge. And that's why when you try to cozy up to certain experiences and take refuge in temporary experiences like going to a concert or having sex or playing video games or whatever it is, they don't satisfy you because they come and they go and they leave you with more craving afterwards. But when you practice sitting in your saddle and you do this daily and you do it every day and then you bring it into your daily life as well. So you sit once or twice a day, you do the formal practice, and then after you do the post-meditation practice, which is staying in your saddle during everyday life. Let life remind you to stay centered. If someone comes and yells at you, that can be a good reminder to stay centered and not be averse to it, just kind of like touch and go. Or if someone comes and gives you a giant hug, someone you're attracted to, your crush, agrees to go on a date with you, instead of having this whole gigantic celebration, you can just touch and go. Or you strike a huge business deal, touch and go. Stay centered in your saddle. This will bring you lasting peace and happiness for all of eternity, for all of your lives, for the rest of existence, because your mind, the primordial awareness, doesn't arise and pass away. Your mind is the thing that is here. Yes, the content of the mind always changes to all sorts of things, all kinds of things that can appear in the mind, but the mind itself that allows, that is doing touch and go, that is the permanent source of refuge, which satisfies you for eternity and also helps you to become very, 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 very helpful and beneficial to others as well. Then you can help others deeply with what truly matters. All right. I hope you liked this video. Subscribe for more videos like this. If you want to come talk to me for free, I do weekly calls where it's like these group community calls. We all meditate together once a week, and then we chat, we ask questions, we discuss, I try my best to clear up confusions, and we keep each other accountable. So if you're interested in that, you can join by clicking the link in the description. It's a community. There's weekly calls once a week. Otherwise, subscribe for more videos. I'll see you in the next one.